Hey, I got a question from YouTube, not from YouTube, but from somebody on YouTube who left a question in the comments that I want to address here. It's about flight, fight, shutdown, TRE exercises, and what went wrong. Hey, I'm Justin Sinceri. I'm a therapist and coach who wants to help you live with more calm, confidence, and connection without psychobabble or woo woo. This is, of course, not therapy, nor is it intended to replace therapy. The question I got here, I'll call this person Z. Z says, I used to live in fight or flight response with severe anxiety and DPDR. That means depersonalization, derealization. So I did excessive TRE exercises. I wonder what excessive means. Excessive TRE exercises, and now I feel numb. No more anxiety, fight or flight, yeah. And my head feels weird. Can you tell me what I can do to get back to fight or flight, where I can do relaxation techniques again, because now I can't do them anymore? Also, can you shed light on what happened to me? I'm confused. So, no, I can't tell you exactly what happened to you, and no, I can't tell you exactly what you should do, but I can approach this generally. That's my attempt here. I have some familiarity. I always have a problem with that word. Familiarity with TRE exercises. I'm not a proponent of them. I don't know a ton, so take that for what it's worth. But the way that I approach mental health and trauma recovery, I think is different. Rather than this could be coming from a very uneducated viewpoint. Rather than looking at our trauma as something that we need to resolve through some sort of prescribed movement, I look at it as we need to, well, first build lots and lots of safety, and then gently feel into our stuck defense a little bit at a time and relieve it a little bit at a time. And then if our body wants to move, then we move. I've been doing, I do live skills practices in the Unstucking Academy. And one of the ways I end it, or actually also in my, I just finished up a cohort called Stillness to Sympathetic. It helps someone come out of shutdown and emerge into sympathetic activation, actually, which I think has a lot to do with what's being asked here. But in this cohort, in our mindful practices, I didn't tell people how to move around. I didn't give them any prescribed movements. Instead, we anchored in safety and then mindfully felt into stuck defensive activation, into immobilization. And then, to wrap up the meditation and the brief pendulation exercise, and then we asked our body what would feel good right now. And then we moved in a way that would feel good. So it was a small cohort. One of the people, she stretched out a couple times. I think the final time we met, she did this like swimming motion. The other person grabbed a pillow and squeezed it. These are not movements I can predict. I don't know what the right movement is for anybody. And again, this may be a very uneducated place to speak from, and I apologize if it is, but the TRE exercises, I believe, are more prescribed, like do this movement. And if I'm wrong about that, I apologize. I've looked into it, but not heavily. So it's fundamentally at odds with, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's at odds with the way that I do things within the Unstucking Academy. So let's get back to Z's question. Z had fight or flight plus DPDR. DPDR, I would guess, comes from a severe or significant enough shutdown state. This is where shutdown brings dissociation. So if we are in a depersonalized, derealized sort of state, that must have some degree of dissociation to it, and that comes from shutdown or freeze. So if somebody has fight or flight and shutdown, they could alternate betwixt the two. They could, but that would probably more look like shutdown to fight, shutdown to fight, shutdown to fight. It could be like shutdown to a brief flight and then to more anxiety, and that's where someone gets stuck, and so they go back down and shut down to fight to flight to fight to shutdown to fight to flight to fight to shutdown. Maybe it could be something like that. Or it could be where they have both of these things active at the same time. So they have shutdown and fight flight, maybe more of a flight active. And that would result in a tense kind of freeze state that is just sort of lingering chronically, maybe this underlying sense of panic that just kind of is always there, or maybe an underlying sense of anxiety. If it's more freeze, I would lean more toward panic, but an underlying intense anxiety definitely could be there. Just to understand what could be going on in general, there could be maybe someone with fight or flight and DPDR has lingering freeze, or they have shutdown to sympathetic, shutdown to sympathetic. So knowing that is very important, and why I don't like the prescribed sort of method of, well, just do this movement, or do, go jump in a cold pool, or whatever, do this sort of breathing method. That's why I don't like this stuff, because knowing what state you're in is more helpful than just sort of throwing these skills at somebody. So someone who's in freeze, or let's say someone who's in shutdown, let's say they're going from shutdown to sympathetic. Someone in shutdown is way less likely to do any sort of movements. They need very small, and maybe TRE has small movements built in that are good, and I don't know. But for the way I work with someone in shutdown, we, instead of trying to get into fight activation or trying to work our way out of shutdown, we actually would connect with the shutdown. We would let it be because it's there anyways. So let's mindfully connect with it. And if once we mindfully connect with it, then self-regulation can happen naturally, as long as the safety state is strengthened enough. So that's shutdown. So I guess to keep that in mind, because someone is shut down, throwing some sort of movement at them is not necessarily helpful unless it's tailored to what their body wants, and probably is a smaller sort of movement. For someone in flight fight, they have more capacity to do whatever movements. They have more range of movement probably, but they're probably going to be more on the tense side, not like freeze, but their willingness, their playfulness when it comes to movements is going to be smaller. So yeah, they might be able to roll around or something like that, but they're probably going to be thinking, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? Or this isn't working for me. It works for everybody else, but it won't work for me. And if that's true, they're not going to benefit from the movement, I don't think. And I have no idea if TRE builds in how much mindfulness is built into it or how much safety is expected. Hey, it's Editing Justin from the future. I was editing and I wanted to input a little thought into here. So I touched upon shutdown and maybe someone who has sympathetic flight fight and how they may respond to prescribed exercises. But someone in freeze, I wanted to touch upon this real quick because someone in freeze has flight fight active, but also shutdown. So they're mobile, but that mobility is frozen. It is immobilized by the shutdown aspect of of the freeze. So they're mobile, but also immobile. Asking this person to do some sort of prescribed movement, if they lack the safety to benefit from it, and again, I don't know TRE, but if I asked someone in freeze to do some sort of movement, that their system may not have the capacity for it because the immobility aspect of the freeze is too strong. And so I could totally see this person really struggling with any sort of mindfulness, movement-based kind of stuff. Someone who's in freeze, I think, could definitely be triggered deeper into shutdown or even deeper into freeze. Someone in freeze who is successfully removed the shutdown, the immobility of their freeze, still may not be at a place where they can handle any mindful movement because their safety state's not where it needs to be. There's a lot of pieces that come in. That's why I hate to prescribe stuff. There's a lot of pieces that come into this. So someone in freeze who, let's say they've been able to connect with the shutdown, immobilization, and now the mobilization, the flight fight, is now ready to be released. That can be extremely difficult. That can be a lot, especially if their safety state can't handle it. Think of it as like your foot is on the brake and the gas at the same time, but not a little bit, it's like floored. So someone who has their foot on the gas and the brake at the same time and they're flooring it, when you take your foot off the brake, what happens? You're going to spin out, right? You're going to maybe shoot forward, out of control. So same thing. It's a metaphor, but same thing when it comes to freeze. We don't want that person to be spinning out or shooting out of control when their immobility comes off. It has to be a little bit at a time with the safety state active. All right. Editing Justin is going away now. Bye. If I were doing something like this, I would really want to make sure that my client is anchored in safety first, and then ideally listen to whatever movement their body naturally wants. But if it was a prescribed sort of movement, I would really want my client anchored in safety and then mindfully feel the experience of the movement. But I'd be more concerned with what's happening, not completing the movement. Like if the goal is to like roll around on the floor, and I'm making stuff up, I don't know what TRE does. But if the goal is to like roll around, I don't care if they roll around the right number of times or in the right way. I'm way more concerned with what's the experience of rolling around. So as soon as their brain says something like, this is stupid and this doesn't work for me, that to me is far more important than completing the movement. I would want them to pause. Let's notice what the feeling is that's driving that thought. What's the emotion driving the thought? And let's just kind of be with that emotion. If we can be with it and then balance it out with more safety, then we can go back to the exercise if needed. But that's how I work. I'm more concerned with what's the present moment experience of whatever the thing is, and let's focus on that present moment experience, because that is the portal to actual self-regulation, not just doing things here and there that kind of feel better but don't really last. And again, I don't know about TRE. I'm not trying to diss TRE. A lot of people love this stuff, and I'm happy for you. But just the way I work is fundamentally, I think, a lot different than what a lot of the other things are. And that's okay. So Z says, my head feels weird. I'm not going to comment on that. What can I do to get back to fight or flight? The way that I would work is, and I'll give you the annoying answer. The annoying answer is don't try to get back to fight or flight. The annoying answer is let's connect with whatever's happening in our body right now. And if the body's ready to get back to fight or flight, it will. I know that's the annoying answer, but that is the answer. I'm sorry to say it is. And this is not for Z, this is for all of us. It's totally okay to not be content with where you're at. I think it's a good sign. It's totally okay to want to get into sympathetic activation if you're in shutdown. Absolutely. It's totally okay to want to have more safety in your life. Heck yes. But I don't believe we can truly get to more safety or work our way up the polyvagal ladder until we have mindfully connected with what we have in the present moment. And what we have in the present moment might be a lot of collapse. And so the way I work is let's mindfully connect with the collapse. Let's give this permission to be. And if we can do that, then, and remain anchored in safety, if we can mindfully and deeply feel what it's like to be collapsed, then self-regulation will naturally unfold as long as you're anchored in safety and you're mindfully tracking and following the natural little sensations and impulses. And we can use skills like balancing and pendulation. I teach all that inside the Unstucking Academy. But that's how I would do these things is let's not worry about getting to where we need to be. Let's just be where we're at. If we can connect with where we're at, the body will take you to the next place. It will, I promise. But it requires a lot of safety. And that is, I think that's the piece that people know, but skip over. They just want the thing. Just tell me the thing. Tell me the skill. Tell me the exercise. Tell me the movement. Tell me the breathing technique. I just get me out of the state that I'm in. And I don't blame anybody for feeling that way or thinking that way at all. But there's no hack. There's no shortcut here. I don't believe. Actually, I'm pretty darn sure there is no shortcut. So the sooner that you can focus on and prioritize safety, the sooner you can do even small safety practices every day. I would argue, and what I see in myself, what I see in my clients, the more success you're going to have. The safety state is the foundation for everything. The stronger safety state you have, you'll be able to do the more difficult stuff that I'm saying, like mindfully allow and feel shutdown or flight and fight, whatever it is that's happening in your system currently. Z and everybody else listening, if you're interested in the Unstucking Academy, you can follow the link in the description. The Academy is, you can probably tell, it's different. We do things differently. I don't have a prescription for you. I don't have a hack or a stimulation or I don't know, whatever. I don't have a special thing for you to fix yourself and get better. That's not the way I think or teach, and that's not the way we do things in the Academy. So if you're curious about learning more, you can go to stucknotbroken.com/unstuckingacademy, stucknotbroken.com/unstuckingacademy. It's a very small community. It's limited to 150 people. I want to keep it that way. I don't want lots of people. I don't want hundreds and thousands of people in there. I want it to be a small, contained, intimate experience. I want people to get to know each other. I love the fact that I have people globally connecting with each other, and they kind of arrange their own little, one-on-one meetups just to kind of talk. We call it the Stuck Buddy program. But the Academy is different. Besides the small community and the live practices and whatnot, I have something that I think is really unique called the Unstucking Pathway. I used to have a whole bunch of courses and stuff, and you're probably enrolled in other things that have that. And that's fine. I'm sure there's great information out there, but rather than a whole bunch of courses, I got rid of all that, and now I have one pathway. I call it the Unstucking Pathway, and it takes you from learning the polyvagal theory very simply, very clearly, all the way to unstucking and mastering skills like pendulation and balancing and normalizing and validating, and how to recognize obstacles as they come up when you try and use these skills and what to do about that. It's a pathway. It's a long pathway. But it has very small, very concrete, very practical steps. The lessons in it are each under 10 minutes. And the steps, you can do these every day in very small, bite-sized ways. I designed this to reduce the amount of friction as much as I possibly could, to reduce your overwhelm as much as I possibly could. So if you're interested, it's stucknotbroken.com/unstuckingacademy. Otherwise, thank you for listening to this episode. Z, thank you for the question. It's a great one. And bye.